Welcome to Tuesday Talks with Darleen, and my special guest is Tammie Sharp. Now, Tammie is a multi-passionate creative who weaves her compassionate blend of soul care, sacred art, and self-awareness into her transformational work as a creative joy mentor and feminine artist. Tammie's vision is to inspire individuals to reconnect to themselves through curiosity, rituals, creativity, expression, and joy, creating pathways for transformation in their own personal and spiritual journeys. And I'm so excited because Tammie is an absolute dear friend of mine. And when she said yes, I went, yes, yes, yes. And today it's just another one of those beautiful conversations where we never know where it's going to go. So we're going to talk about creativity and art and connection and whatever.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. So I would actually love to know more about because the word multi-passionate, a lot of us say we're multi-passionate. What does that actually mean for you?
Multi-passionate for me means that I am inspired and find joy in many, many avenues. I don't like to be bound by one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I find that very constricting. I
Mm.
like to see magic everywhere. So being multi-passionate allows me to dip my toes in places, whether it's for business or for personal or for spiritual. It allows me to have an amazing toolbox to tap into, so that I have access to things in different moments, because we're all different and we respond differently to different situations. And sometimes we need different tools or techniques. And my multi-passionate creativity allows me to just expand and be open to that expansion at any given time.
I love that. And I mean, I think there's a lot of business women or business people out there that are multi-passionate, but don't say they are, because we like, how many tools have we got in our tool belt anyway? Doesn't matter whether you say, well, I'm a, CPA, you've still got other tools in your tool belt.
And having tools in your tool belt also makes the ability to be flexible, because sometimes we need change and we need change in a moment. And I love saying that I'm multi-passionate. And for years, people used to go, oh, it just means you don't have a pathway, or that you're not focused on anything. But if I focus on one thing too often, I actually get depressed. So, having that multi-passionate gives me the freedom, and freedom is important for me. And so, yeah, it's just one of those, different perspectives, different experiences, how it unfolds.
Yeah, and that's actually a good point that you've just said, because excuse me, my throat's playing up interesting. Because I never called myself multi-passionate, because as you said, you were considered like a generalist. You didn't specialize in anything, and that's not the case. That's not the case at all.
Flaky was the one that I got a lot. Oh, you're just flaky. You can't choose one thing.
Oh, oh my goodness.
I was a blonde back then, so I just used to say it's just because I'm a blonde, so it's not a problem. But yeah, they're different. It's one of those almost judgmental things, and it comes from, well, in my experience, it's often been very masculine orientated, where you've got to be very logical, very focused. I'm more free than that. I like to be unbound.
Yeah, and yeah, I totally agree with you about that, because since I've really embraced the fact that I am multi-passionate, like, life is just so much better. You were talking about depression, and I mean, I have that. The fact that I'm multi-passionate means that if I'm having a down moment, there's not just one thing that I can do. I can do so many different things to bring me up, and it's so freaking awesome.
Very much so. That's how I got to the other side of my ongoing mental health journey. It wasn't until I started appreciating gratitude and really fully accepting that I'm multi-passionate, and those different multi-passions help me thrive rather than hide. That it's like, you know what? I don't care what others say. I like to own that I'm multi-passionate in whatever way it holds in that particular moment, because it's always different. And we always change. And if we can't change, then, you know, we only stay stuck.
Yeah.
That definitely doesn't help your mental health.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. And that's why I'm glad that I've actually got to move because it's getting me unstuck. But I would really love to talk about there's beautiful art that you're creating around, and, you know, just a trigger for people around like the vulva and all that. Now, I absolutely love the fact that you're doing that. Can you actually talk about, you know, why you actually started doing that?
My work that I do around the vulva is really linked into the self-love aspect. So about 9.5 years ago, I had a hysterectomy, and I had fought with my feminine menstrual cycle most of my life. I've suffered chronic pain. That was debilitating. I used to have to take days off school because it was so painful. You'd go to the doctors and they go, it's just female stuff. There's nothing wrong with you. It's all in your head. So from a very young age, you're told that what you're experiencing is technically not real and that it's all in your head. Well, actually, no, it was in my stomach area because that's where it hurt, but nobody wanted to listen. So you lived with this pain constantly, on and on and on. And then after my first birth of my first child, one of the guest midwives came in and she said I had too much vulva. So she cut it off and basically disembodied a part of me that I wasn't even really attached with because I was only 20. And that brought deep, deep trauma. So when I had my hysterectomy, all this trauma from the years, because I fought for my hysterectomy, came to the surface, and then I felt like I wasn't worthy as a woman. And my journey back to being worthy as a woman was to find self-love within myself, self-acceptance, and then, you know, how was I going to express that now if I was missing an internal piece that nobody could see? And I started doing doodles, which is how I do a lot of my sacred artwork anyway, and they started looking like vulvas. And so as I explored that, I realized that this is another hidden piece of a human female identifying that is shamed often. And with all this trauma that came up, the more that I used the artwork to move through that, the more transformation I felt in my life. Then people started seeing what I was doing and started requesting it. And so I sort of went, oh, this is something I love. This is something that's healing me, and it's now healing others. And it's sort of one of the avenues that I've decided to explore further.
Yeah, I absolutely. Sorry, it's just a bit noisy. I had to mute myself. I'll close the window in a second. I absolutely love that. And I really talk about connection to the body with my business. And that's how I really help women. And for me, like my vulva is something that I need to, you know, I needed to be connected with to then really connect my emotions as well, because I shut down. And when I see your art, it's like, wow, you know, I feel it's like, in a way, I want to say the word brave, because it is brave to actually look at our, you know, our vulvas and go, wow, look at this, look at how amazing it is.
Society has made it that it's brave to look at our vulvas, but it is something I think that should be taught from a very young age. As young kids and training in early child care, one of the developmental stages is they touch their genitals. And the first thing they're told is don't touch, don't touch. And so that needs to stop back then, and, you know, be free that this is normal, and, you know, not wearing clothes is normal, that our naked bodies, it doesn't matter what they look like, are normal. But for me, the whole vulva thing is deeply cemented in self-love. It's also energetically and spiritually connected to an outer gateway that comes up into our other chakras. And the creative cave, and both masculine and feminine, or male and female, they carry creative centers, but it's common that this is within a woman, because we give birth, we create a human inside of us, or we can create humans inside of us. But males have a center called the hara, And that is energetically like a womb, and they can create from there, not a physical human being, but they can create physical entities outside of themselves, like their businesses and things like that. And so it's not it's not something that is just singular, but it's again within that collective. It just is expressed differently. And it's that perspective of owning that and trying to remove the shame and the guilt and the fear and acknowledge it as beautiful in whatever form that it looks like. And it's unique, and we should be able to be unique.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I try to bring through my art, is that you're bold, you're brave, you're wild if you have to, and that you express yourself freely in your uniqueness. No more comparing yourself to others or anything, comparing yourself to anything. So, yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And I love how you said about no more comparing to your other selves, because as women, we do it with our bodies all the time. And in business, we do it as well. Like, how often do we compare ourselves to others? Oh, they're making 10K months, or they're making 20K months, or they're making 6 figures, or look how many people they've got. And it's like, what? Who cares? Who cares? Like, you are your own unique person. No matter whether it's your beautiful body, which I had to learn how to love because I shut everything down, like trauma, shut everything down. So I had to learn to love that. And we are so unique. And that's why I love your art so much, because it's unique. And in the description, I'll make sure I've got a link to your Redbubble store as well, so people can go and have a look, because I love, and the fact that you can wear earrings, with beautiful vulvas on there. It's like, that's so cool.
Earrings are available from Made It, and you can find them sometimes through my Instagram feed. But yeah, it's lots of things: key rings, earrings, tree decorations this year. Sky's not the limit for me. And having something that's also quirky and out there, it brings that joy and that fun, and just a playfulness that a lot of us have lost as we've moved into adulthood, as we've been told to be serious and growing up. Well, that's important, but the other side of depression for me is play. And if we can be playful, the depression is less, in my case. So
yeah, and I agree with that as well, because the more that I play and the more that I have fun, the more that my mindset is better. And, like you were saying, we're taught to be, we're told to be adults, and the same thing in business. In business, you got to be serious, and you got to like dress up and all this kind of, stuff. And it's like, the more fun I have in my business with my clients, the more transformational everything is, and the more that my business is seen. Like, it's just it's the energy we're putting out there, because we're putting out that beautiful, joyful energy that people go, oh, I've got to see that person, I need to see more of them, and they go find them. It's so yeah.
True. It's very true. Yes.
Yeah.
It's one thing that if we don't have enough fun and we don't have the joy, then we stay too serious. And when we're too serious, we miss things.
Yeah. And you can see it, like when, when people create brands, and if it's really serious, you sort of look at it and you're thinking, if someone's that serious, okay, they're probably going to be an accountant or a lawyer or something like that. And that's what it feels like to me. And it's like, that's not who I am. I don't want to be that serious person. Yes, parts of my business need to be serious occasionally. Oh man, how much fun. And that's why I love being creative.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I like to be creative, and it's one of the reasons why I celebrate being creative, not just in my business, but in my personal life and in my spiritual journey. So that it's like my lifeline, creativity.
Yeah. And that's something I want to hone in on, because when people think of creativity, they think of the traditional thing, like, art and all that. So what is creativity for you? Because you said about, creativity in spiritual and in life. So what's it for you?
Creativity means having the freedom to be curious for me. And so it doesn't matter whether it's picking up an iPad pencil and drawing on my iPad, whether it's stepping outside and appreciating nature. One of the simplest things I do is I go outside barefoot, stand on the grass, and I look at all the butterflies that are flying around. That is super creative for me. It's super grounding for me. It reminds me to be light, be joyful, be appreciative, and to actually see the small things around that we take for granted. Finding that sacred pause or that joy within the mundane moment, those are things that I like to grab onto because people like to overcomplicate creativity. Another way I love being creative is making food and not using a recipe. I'm chronic for making food, and people go, "What's the recipe?" I'm like, I actually can't tell you. I just went in and I said, "Have you ever heard of that meme where it says, 'Dear child, your ancestors are standing here saying, that's enough.'" Don't add another spice. That's kind of me. But don't write it down and I don't measure. So it's just like, I try and pay attention to what I'm putting in there. But if it inspires me and it brings me joy, and then, even better, if it tastes good on the other end, being creative in the kitchen is another way that just lights me up and it nurtures me. And that's part of the things that I want flowing through my life all the time. When these are flowing through my daily life, they expand and they flow into all the other parts of my life.
Yeah, that's so true. And I'm the same with food. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll just put a bit of this in, a bit of that in. It's like, and you can tell the difference whenever anything is done with love, which is creativity, that's love. You can tell the difference. And it's so important, especially in business, to create from a place of love, to create from that space is just, it makes it more special. I really feel that there's such a difference between someone who's just done this and then someone who's just embraced everything and created from joy.
When you create from joy, I think there's a pathway to transformation. When you create out of necessity, then there can be stagnant moments in there because you could be closed off to other outcomes. Trial and error, making mistakes, they're all part of our journey and should be celebrated. They should not be hidden or shamed away, or a lot of us are told, "Oh, you made a mistake, you're a horrible person," or "You made a mistake, so you failed." You haven't failed, you've just found a way that doesn't work for you, and you've got the opportunity to be curious and explore some more. Or maybe you had a happy accident. The artists that I trained with, Kelly Ray Roberts, she always goes, the happy accident is not a mistake, it's just a happy accident, because you never know what's going to come out the other side.
Yes. Yeah, and that's so true. There's an artist, I can't remember his name, but he finds things like on the ground or on a building or something. He'll just see like a crack or something, and then he'll create something from that, and you're just like, wow, now that's so cool.
That's that curiosity, letting that curiosity lead you without attachment. And that's something I find is really important when you're being creative, is that if you get too attached to what creativity looks like, then you become enclosed. And when you're enclosed, you don't see bigger pictures or different perspectives. So, yeah.
And you keep talking about the beautiful curiosity, and that's creativity, and that's what, if we're curious with our clients, no matter what we do with them, then just imagine how much more powerful that is as well. And that leads me in, because I know that you create mandalas but also help other people do mandalas as well. And how do you help them be curious and have a connection to it?
Being curious with the mandala really comes deeply from my journey with mandalas over the last 25-ish years. I've been working with mandalas. my very first mandala teacher taught me that a mandala is like the universe or the collective or the wholeness, and the different layers represent different things. We start at the center, which is us, and then we build on that our communities, our experiences, and our dreams. And so this is how I like to teach people about mandalas, is that we're not coming to the mandala to make a creation. We're coming to the mandala to have an experience with ourselves.
Oh, you just blow my mind. Like, because I did not know that about the mandalas. You know, I've seen people create them and I didn't know that that's what it was. Far out.
There's different stories to it, but that's just my first mandala teacher. That's how he taught me. And when you look at especially the Buddhist monks, it's about the process, and part of the process is destroying it at the end. It's not about how pretty it looks at the end. It's we've done our journey, now we wipe it away to start afresh.
Wow.
So yeah,
I love that. A mandala's a journey. Oh, that's so that's just so awesome. Like, I really am mind blown, because I've never, like, as I said, I've seen mandalas created, but I never realized how much of a journey it can actually be. And that's beautiful.
If it's intentional, like anything, a journey can come from anything that's intentional. But yeah, the reason why I continue working with mandalas is because the story and the learnings that I learned from it helped me. They helped me with my creativity. They helped me open my heart. They helped me be non-attached, which is so important these days. It also gave me the ability to be a little bit more discerning. Like, if I went into my mandala with an intention, and as I started with myself and I built out the layers, was I being intentional on who I was having in my circle? Did I go out and did I buy something? And go, oh, I've got to finish that because I paid the money for it, or I've got to go and do that because I paid the money for it.
Yeah.
There's this, when you're working within the mandala, there's this clean slate almost that allows you to go and see from a different perspective, and then you can build on that. So yeah, mandalas have very special part in my heart.
Yeah. Yeah. And so for anyone watching, you actually do help people, you know, learn how to create mandalas. So I'm going to make sure that we have a link to that as well, so they can find you. Yeah, oh, you're welcome. Because, you know, I've seen your art, and this is why I'm so passionate about talking to other women. And I don't believe in competition. There is no such thing as competition. And this is why I'm having these amazing interviews, because I want to promote every person I can possibly. And that's why I said, you know, I'll share your Redbubble and you made it and everything, because, you know, I don't create that. And even if I did, it wouldn't matter. Like, this is why, yeah, I just love these interviews. And that's why I just love talking to people.
No worries.
Yeah. And what was I gonna, there was a question I was gonna ask. Interesting. I love how that happens when I, you know, just talk and sometimes things just get lost.
That's fun. It just makes new pathway for somewhere else.
It just doesn't. And this is the joy of being in business, is not, as you said about before, like, I could edit this out, but I'm not going to, because this is the joy. This is me showing up as me and going, this is what happens. Because other, you know, other interviewers will send you questions and it's quite stilted, whereas I love the joy and the fun in these kind of interviews.
And allowing the flow, just to see what comes and goes.
And as you can see, both of us are having fun, and this is what business is about bringing that fun and that joy in. And it's amazing. And I would love for you to talk about, because you did mention sacred art before, and I'd love for you to actually talk about that, so that people that haven't never heard of it and actually understand what it is.
For me, sacred art is a combination of light codes, sacred geometry, and other symbolism, whether it be through visual images or colors or shapes or lines that are woven into a completed piece of artwork, which is part of a journey that I take people on. So we start as an energetic journey, and the art evolves from that. The sacred artwork to me is this beautiful woven co-created journey. And I do say co-created because we start it together, and then there's a point where you get to reflect and decide whether you like parts of it, don't like parts of it. We get to talk through that, so it's quite co-created, and then we make any tweaks, and at the end we have this final image, and the image is like an anchor of energy that your soul has expressed.
Yeah, I love how you actually co-create it, because there are many amazing people out there that actually create the sacred art, but they create it and that's it. They don't co-create it with their client. And I just think that's beautiful. Like, that feels even more powerful for me. Like, it just feels...
I've done distance channeled without client interaction. I've done client interaction at the beginning, but not during the middle. I've tried other different things, but what nurtures me and what I find nurtures my clients is having this woven process all the way through. I like to say that it's like a 4-part. There's 4 steps to this, the sacred artwork, because sometimes you can't put a time limit on how long that it takes, because we're on a co-created journey together. We actually both go through a form of transformation. We both leave elements of ourselves within this journey, and that is represented in the artwork. And that's why for me it's sacred, because it's this co-driven journey, and at the end there's this beautiful expression of what came forward that meets the soul rather than the logical mind. Because some people want to look at the artwork and they go, their logical mind drops and goes, oh, I don't like that bit. And I sit there and I go, so how does it make you feel? Because often when we say, oh, I don't like that, or what the hell is that, or whatever, it's something that's rising inside of us that actually needs to be addressed. So it's like part of that transition, part of that moving forward, or moving that stagnant energy. It comes up with that resistance. And so I like to question that. I'm like, okay, so do you really not like it, or is it something that's wanting to be released? Because we're energetic beings, and our logical mind wants to control everything, but our soul wants to just see and feel. And if we don't allow that, then we stay stuck.
Yeah, and we do. Yeah. And I love how you actually gently question your client when, something comes up. I just think that's amazing, because I know of other people that would have gone, okay, they don't like it, so what do you want then? Instead of going into that beautiful space of, okay, let's question, let's find out why. And this is why I love curiosity as well, because the more curious we can be about things, the more powerful life can be.
Yeah. Oh, trust me. In my early years, I would either say, here's a refund, or I'll create something different, or they would give me negative feedback and then I'd never hear from them again. There have been a couple who have outright argued with me, but then they've also messaged me back a couple of months later and they go, holy fuck, like what? What the hell? And I, as an artist, have had to trust my journey. And I work with people who have been in my shoes where we've doubted and not trusted. And I've worked with people who have needed to be open to receiving. And my gift is to give and you receive. And sometimes that may take a couple of weeks. That might take a couple of months. I had someone contact me 14 months after their artwork, and they said, I've lost my artwork reading. Can you send me a copy? lucky I keep all that sort of stuff, so I was able to send them a copy. And she said, can we connect again, please? Because there was so much there that didn't resonate 14 months ago, but I want to talk through it now. I said, well, I don't know how helpful I can be because this all comes up in the moment. I said, but I'm happy to talk with you to talk through it because that helps them in their transformational journey. So yeah, that's all part of the sacredness, I think.
Yeah, and I love how you talked about how, you know, something mightn't gel then, but it gels later. And I do the same with my clients. Like, you know, if I do an intuitive business reading, they get the recording and photos of the cards and everything. And I say, don't look at the recording for about a month. I want you just to leave it be, just to allow things to integrate and then look at it again, because then you might have questions. And it does. And, you know, there's just so many times people go, you know what, I didn't get it then and I get it now.
And that's part of the process with the sacred art, is that there is an element of integration. And because they're involved in different parts of the process, there's actually a couple of points where there's integration. And if they are a little bit resistant to start with, then you'll know some of the ones that are resistant. You'll send out the work for them to revise, and some of them will get back to you within that same day. Those that are resistant, you're messaging them a month later going, hey, do you want to come back and discuss what you've seen, what you like? Can we close the process? And those are the ones who have been either subconsciously or unconsciously activated. And so and they'll go, they'll sometimes come back, oh, I haven't really had enough time, I had a quick look and I haven't been back. And I'm like, yeah, it's okay, we experienced this. Are you ready? Do you feel ready? And usually there's gentle nudges, and sometimes there's the same sort of process on my end. Something's happened and it'll activate me and it'll slow the process down just a little bit. And then we'll move forward. From there, it's like either I'm just about ready to release it and they'll message me going, hey, how you doing? Or vice versa, they're about to get back to me. So there's this like energetic connection that you trust the process. And as it unfolds, that's where, you know, the magic happens.
Yep, I just totally agree with that. It is it, and I love the word that you use, the word magic, because it is. It's just, the whole thing is just magical.
So the way that I work, that's how it feels. It just feels magical. It just feels divine timing, trust, all that sort of stuff. It's all woven in. Sometimes we as humans, we work within cycles, whether you want to acknowledge them or not. We do work in cycles. And some people, they may not know that they're going through a cycle, but that may impact the resistance or not. So it just really depends. Some of the sacred artwork becomes artwork for t-shirts. Sometimes it becomes tattoos. Sometimes it just becomes a beautiful framed picture, however they want to express it. And I think it doesn't matter for me how it goes. Maybe it's just a digital and they leave it on their phone for a long period of time. As long as what they get from it helps them, that's the most important thing. And I trust whatever they need will arrive when they need it, whether they believe it or not. That's up to them, because that's their journey. Because I'm not here to heal them, because I don't think they're broken. I just think that we help each other reclaim any parts of us that need to be reclaimed. And if that means you're a cheerleader, then so be it. If it means that you're an artist and you're bringing through an expression that helps them, then, you know, so be it. If you're a mentor and you inspire them to make changes, then so be it. It's just part of the journey.
Yeah. And that's what I love. You know, when you,
life work.
Yeah, yeah, when you can find your purpose and understand it, it really is powerful. And I mean, you know, then you just have to do it. Like, there's just an absolute calling. And that's what I love about, you know, both of us. We've got this beautiful calling, and we're doing it. We answer that call.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Because when you don't, it hurts.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Well, that's what happened. I stayed in nursing for too long. I didn't answer the call. So. But I love that, and I really want to thank you for this chat. I could talk forever because we're talking about, you know, what I love, all the things that I love we're talking about. So I really want to thank you for your time. And as I said in the description, I'm going to make sure that we've got all the links that we need so people can find you. So please go and check Tammie out. You know, she's got this, you know, she's multi-passionate, and that is what, you know, is so good. It's amazing. So yeah, go and check her out. Thank you everyone for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe to this beautiful channel so you can find out when I have more amazing interviews. Thank you.